Hi, everyone. Thanks, Christine. So I'm Sarah Denman. As Christine said, I work at our Woodridge location in the eating disorder unit. I am the supervisor, the clinical therapy supervisor of our eating disorder outpatient, which is the PHP and IOP. And I also do some supervision for some of the inpatient treatment as well. So today I'm just going to be talking to you about body image, building a body image, a positive body image, and just understanding what that is for people and what that looks like. I do really like to have some interaction and really I'll ask some questions. You can put those answers in the chat box and really just engage if you want to. Put any questions that you want in the chat box and I will be happy to answer them for you. Okay. So our objectives today will just be to learn what body image is, be able to identify at least one way to help your child promote body positivity, and be able to identify at least one factor that increases or decreases body positivity and neutrality. And we will talk about the differences of those as well. All right. So what is body image? Body image is how an individual sees themselves, how you see yourself, how your kids see themselves when you look in the mirror or when they see a picture of themselves, or also kind of what their mind's eye sees of themselves. So it's not just what they see when they look at themselves, but also what they think they look like or what you think you look like. We all sometimes might have those experiences where we see a picture of ourselves and we're like, oh, that's what I look like, or things like that. Those things do happen with body image. So it is what they believe about it, their own appearances, their memories, their assumptions, and their generalizations about them, how they feel about their bodies, including their height, shape, weight, and size, how they sense or control in their body, and how they move it, like what my body feels like, how it is, what it feels like when I move and walk and engage in my world, how they physically experience or feel in their body. Many of us internalize images starting at a young age that can either lead to a positive or negative body image. Having a healthy body image is an important part of mental well-being and eating disorders. So if someone wants to put something in the chat box about where you think body image starts for people, how it starts, whether that be body positivity or even those negative body images, where that starts for people. Someone wants to put something in the chat. A second. Okay. So body image concerns can start at as early as age of 6 for girls. That's where the research is. So a lot of the research for body image is with the girls, not as much with boys, but it does happen with boys as well early. They start to experience and say things about their weight or their shape. Kids at school start to notice each other's bodies and may say things about differences in bodies to each other. There's those old adage of like little kids talking about their parents' size or why do you look like that or why do you look differently. Yes, from friends and parents, definitely. It can come from all sorts of places too, like friends and parents will definitely contribute to those factors. 40 to 50% of elementary school girls are concerned about their weight or becoming too fat. So think about that. Elementary school is from about 5 to 6 to 11, 12, that kindergarten to 5th grade stage. Think about being concerned about becoming fat. Think about being concerned about what their weight is and how they look. Also starting to compare themselves to their bodies of other people around them and really being like hyper aware if their body is different. A lot of kids have different ways they grew up. Their body shapes are different. And sometimes you can have a kid who is in a larger body that doesn't grow up to be in a larger body. And people really make comments like, even I know that I've heard people make comments about people's babies. Oh, they look so chubby, or maybe you're feeding it too much, or you need to feed it a little bit more even. Things like that, just saying stuff about bodies, and that kids pick up on that stuff. They're sponges. One half of teenage girls and almost 1/3 of teenage boys use unhealthy weight control behaviors. And we'll talk more about what those are, but those typical or atypical eating disorder type behaviors, we can start to see in half of adolescent girls and 1/3 of adolescent boys. All right, so contributing factors. Someone said friends and parents, absolutely. So family of origin, thoughts on body weight, diet, and movement. So like I said, kids, adolescents, and small kids are sponges. They pick up on what's in their environment. They pick up on what people say. They pick up on your own body image concerns, your own statements. They pick up on what's being said about, we need to move more, or we can't eat that, or we need to eat this, or those people, they're fat, they're too big, or we don't want to be like that, or our family has a history of obesity and we don't want to be obese, and really picking up on that. And sometimes kids who are super hyper aware and also hyper anxious sometimes will pick those up even more to the extreme of that. Media and marketing absolutely is a way that really can be pointed out and can bring out those things for people. So over the last 23 years, while the average size of a woman has increased in America, the average size of models has decreased significantly. So while we as Western civilization, our average size has risen a little bit, the average size of models is much smaller. And this is what people are looking to. This is what the ideal is, the thin ideal. And really looking at that and comparing that can lead to that negative body image. This is what people see and experience. The emergence of TikTok and other internet sites with eating disorder related content. Whether you know it or not, there is a lot of eating disorder content on TikTok. I did this the other day because I was curious what would happen. Now, if you actually go on TikTok and you search specifically eating disorder or something for eating disorder, you search those words, it will come up with this pop-up that says, do you need help, from the National Eating Disorder website, which I thought was cool. But there are people that get around that. They call it nutrition. They call it getting healthy. They call it losing weight the easy way, losing weight quickly. All of these fad diets too are on TikTok and other websites. There's also pro eating disorder websites, pro ANA websites, stuff that encourage, especially young girls, on how to hide their eating disorder, how to restrict food, how to hide weight loss without anybody knowing it or noticing it maybe until it's too late. Also, clothing sizes for women vary greatly. You can walk into one clothing store and pick up a size 12 pant, walk next door in the mall to the next clothing store and pick up a size 12 pant and hold them up next to each other, and they're not going to be the same size. They'll say they're the same size, but they aren't the same size. There may be like half an inch to 1 inch different, sometimes even more, depending on the difference between junior sizes and women's sizes and Mrs. sizes. Totally vast array, but this does definitely play a part in people's ideas about size and weight. If you've gone to a clothing store and gone school shopping, maybe that frustration of you fit this size in this store, but now you don't fit this size in this store. And really, that can become a frustration, especially for someone who has some negative body image stuff going on or feeling like something's wrong with them. Does anybody else have any other examples of media things that you might have seen? So diet culture too, I talked about fad diets. It's everywhere. You can't turn on the TV. You can't drive down the highway. You can't open a magazine. If kids still read those. You can't look at anything on the internet without something with a fad diet. My phone's sitting here next to me, and I'm betting that after I, log off here and go home, there's going to be a bunch of stuff on my thing about diets, because I'm going to talk about, there's this stuff about the keto diet, there's this stuff about whole diets, paleo, all of that stuff just is inundated. And there has been a content analysis of advertising in 2001 found that more than half of all advertising for weight loss products made use of false or unsubstantiated claims. So even that stuff that's really getting out there isn't true and is definitely affecting how our kids see their bodies and see what their ideal is and see how to get there. One of the things too is just really understanding that these things are targeted. They're targeted for specific populations and for specific people, and really just targeted to get to the point of, you haven't met an ideal, you're not good enough. And kids pick up on that stuff. We recently had, patients that come through who really focus on that and focus on, well, TikTok told me, I read this thing, this doctor on TikTok told me that if I eat this stuff, then I'll die. Really looking at those sorts of things and having to sift through such false advertising and such fear about weight, shape, and size without really understanding the damage that those things are doing to our kids. Bullying does contribute. So, like I said, from very early on, kids can be mean to kids in different body sizes who look different. That really does contribute to a negative body image. I know there's been a lot of anti-bullying movements and stuff like that. And really, that's important because there is that I want to be like my peers. I want my peers to like me. I want to stop being bullied. I want to look a certain way. I want to look the way they want me to look, or the way they think I should look. So really contributing to that negative body image and what's wrong with me because I don't look like those other people at school or wherever it may be. Those internal stressors and mental health. So what I'm meaning there is, I kind of mentioned it earlier, if people are more, if kids are more leaning towards being just those anxious kids, like they're anxious about everything, worrying about stuff, constantly worrying about something going wrong, perfectionist, really needing to strive to be the best, can really lend itself to these negative body image feelings too. Like, I need to be the best. I need my body to be the best. I need to look the best. I need to strive and be the best that I can be. Well, in and of itself, wanting to be successful and healthy and looking great and feeling good in your body is not wrong. It is the drive and then the internalization of, if I don't meet these standards, there is something wrong with me. So that can really contribute too. And then this fat phobia and weight bias, and really understanding that being fat, and I'm going to say that, and people tend to stay away from that word, but if a person is in a larger body, that doesn't mean that something's wrong with them. And there is a lot of internal fat phobias and weight bias. And I had my own weight loss journey, and I experienced this as well. And people treated me nicer in a smaller body than when I was in a larger body. And I didn't realize it until I had a smaller body. And people would sit next to me in chairs or wouldn't look at me weird in airplanes. And while people don't speak about this stuff often, it happens. And kids especially pick up on that. They pick up on how people are treated and what that looks like. And that can actually contribute to those negative body image feelings as well. And then just that having that weight bias. If someone's fat, they're lazy. And we'll talk about that in a second too, and what that looks like. There's something wrong with people who are in larger bodies. There's something wrong with people who don't look a certain way or don't meet that thin ideal. That really understanding that there is that bias as well. So, some signs and symptoms of poor body image. You're saying, okay, all teenage girls have a poor body image. I wouldn't disagree with that. I got told that the other day. Well, that's normal for all kids to have a poor body image. Do I think it's true that a lot of kids have poor body image? Yes. Do I think it's normal? No. Just because everyone is doing it doesn't mean everyone should do it. And that's really striving to help people feel good in their skin, regardless of what it looks like. So some of those symptoms that you might see, baggy clothes, even in the heat of the summer. A lot of the patients that we serve in the eating disorder world wear a lot of sweatshirts and a lot of sweatpants and a lot of big clothes. A lot of that is to hide their bodies because they don't want to see it, and also hide their sickness from those around them too, to make their bodies appear larger than what they are. Multiple cognitive distortions about body or size, and we'll talk about what those are in the next slide, and what that means. Like cognitive distortions are the negative thoughts and the ruminations in your head about what your body looks like. Not wanting to go shopping or refusing to go to the store. That's a big one. No, I don't want to go shopping. No, I don't want to try anything on. Don't make me. I'm not going to do that. You can't make me. Just go pick something out for me. And how many kids do you know that want their parents to pick out their clothes, right? So you start seeing that and you're like, what's going on? Refusing to enter the store. Spending long amounts of time in the bathroom or even their bedroom when it's time to change or leave the house. So body checking, mirror checking, looking in the mirror. We'll talk about what body checking is too and more specifics. Changing clothes constantly, all the time. Changing clothes. Just I don't want to wear that outfit. I can't wear that outfit. Or getting frustrated because they can't find something that looks right and then just not doing it, just not wearing it, just not going anywhere. Or reverting back to those sweatpants and sweatshirts and hoodies and things like that. Um, and exercising. So they'll spend a lot of time in the bathroom exercising. We've seen this happen. Um, they'll be doing squats and jumping jacks in the bathroom. You don't understand why they're in there so long, and you start to investigate that they're not just going to the bathroom, they're not just taking a shower, they're trying to hide excessive exercising. So they might be doing jumping jacks and sit-ups and push-ups and all sorts of things that you can do in a bathroom to exercise. Pacing. You might see comparisons to other bodies, talking about other bodies, either negatively or positively. Saying I want to look like that, or I don't look like that, or I wish I looked like that. Or they're so much more pretty than I am, or that person looks better than I do. I'm really comparing. This is one that's an extreme one, but does happen. So I've seen it where people will cut out pictures and have them from the internet or from magazines or catalogs that come in the mail or anything like that of certain body parts that they want ideals of. So we'll see a lot of stomachs, flat stomachs, and legs that look a certain way, or thigh gaps of those ideal shapes and sizes that the kid wants to be in. And they'll either just have them up in their room or they'll have them hidden in their closet or things like that to where they can look at them and stare at them. I already talked about multiple changes of outfits before picking the right one. That's very common. Not leaving the house if not feeling right in their body. So not even not being able to find clothes, but just not feeling right. And they might not be able to say that. Like they may not say to you, hey mom, hey dad, I don't feel like leaving the house because I don't feel right in my body. It just may mean I'm not going. I don't want to go. You can't make me. And you start to wonder why they're always staying home all the time and why they're always wearing baggy clothes, and you don't quite understand. And that could be part of it. Avoidance of social gatherings. Again, that's that feeling right in your body, also part of the comparison. We see this a lot this summer with pool parties, lake trips, things like that. Don't want to be seen in a bathing suit, don't want to go outside in a bathing suit, don't want to be around people in your bathing suit, don't want to cover up. All of those things, we'll see that too. And then wanting to weigh themselves daily or even multiple times a day. Seeing that the scale has been moved around might be a good sign of this. You know, Constantly being like, well, I weigh this much, or how much do you weigh? Like talking to their friends about it, talking to you about it. I weighed this much, and what should I weigh? And researching what they should weigh and looking it up, and looking up their BMI and being told about their BMI. And don't get me started on that and BMI in kids. That's definitely is for sure a soapbox win. It's not really an accurate measurement of health for people as well, but really being hyper focused on the weight and wanting to weigh themselves daily. One more, so you've got poor body image, and then that can morph into what's called body dysmorphic disorder, which is a more extreme version of poor body image. So, body dysmorphic disorder is when a person really has that obsessive thoughts about their bodies, or a perceived defect that they might have. So they might think that they have a big nose and that everyone else doesn't have the same size nose they do, and their nose is so big and it's so big, it's so huge. Um, really like being like, okay, it's not that, and then the people around them being like, it's really not that big, and understanding that maybe other people don't see it the same way they do. They don't see the same person in the mirror as the other people around them see. Sometimes I have people that I serve talk to their significant others or their family members or their parents about what they see instead of what's being seen in the mirror, because oftentimes it's really different, especially in extreme cases of body dysmorphia. This causes distress in a lot of things, like back to that whole not leaving the house, not going anywhere. That can turn into not going to school. That can turn into, I don't want to see my friends. I'm not going. That can turn into losing friends because, when you're an adolescent and you don't hang out with your friends and you keep saying no, eventually they stop inviting you, um, because that's just their feeling about it, and eventually they will. So really understanding like what that means for them and what that looks like. It can show up in later adolescence. However, it does kind of appear younger for some people. But again, it's that more extreme version, so that's why it shows up in later adolescence, because it has started in those smaller versions. But then as your kids get older, it looks different. It really does look different, and it's more symptoms, and it takes a long time for that to come out and be told because those things are very shameful too. Like they recognize sometimes, like they may not see that. Or sometimes they don't recognize it at all. So it's not abnormal to them until some people start to point that out to them. And then it can cause depression, anxiety, shame, and disgust in self. And that can lead to eating disorders. So I said that I would talk about the types of body checking. So mirror checking is one. That's one of the most common ones. So really, if you see your child standing in front of the mirror a lot, staring at the reflection when you walk by a door, um, being preoccupied with their reflection, sometimes that can look like in the mirror face picking, and just really looking at their face and examining it, and examining parts of their bodies. So even with that in the mirror in themselves, touching or squeezing parts of their body. I'm going to get close to the camera. Like we have some patients that will like rub their necks, squeeze their wrists like this. They will like squeeze their arms, squeeze their like, it's so they'll squeeze, like everyone has a little bit of extra skin on their fingers, right? So they'll squeeze that, and really just like to the extreme of like, where am I regaining weight or restoring weight at, or where am I too big at? And really that preoccupation with their touching of their bodies and things like that. Touching their sides, rubbing their bellies, squeezing, like I said, the perceived fat areas of their body. So again, it's perceived. So um, no one should have a concave stomach. It's not healthy. There's a reason why your stomach's not concave. The flat is okay, but concave is not. And we'll hear patients say, my stomach is getting bigger, it's going out, and it's just becoming, like an average sized body stomach, not a concave stomach, not a sick body is what we call it. So really that perceived idea, again, back to that, seeing the idea of I am bigger, I am fat, I am horrible, I need to check my body and make sure. We'll see it too, like a types of body checking too is going like eating a meal and weighing themselves right after, right? So how much did that meal make me gain? Like, and everyone, no matter what, before your food digests, if you've eaten a meal, it's going to raise the amount on the scale because you've put more in your body. Like that's just a normal part of your body and science. But we see that extreme, like running to the bathroom to weigh themselves after eating, and really focusing on that. preoccupation with muscle growth and size. We'll see this in boys a lot. Also in girls, bodybuilding has become a really big thing. There's a whole lot of stuff on TikTok about appropriate calorie counting for bodybuilding, and a lot of it is erroneous because it'll talk about you need to cut all the carbs out to get abs. You need to, but then you're working out a lot and then people are passing out. So it's this preoccupation with how big are my muscles getting? They need to get bigger. I need to not consume as many calories so I can grow muscle, which is not true. That's erroneous. You need to eat calories for muscle growth. They're building blocks to things that you need, but they get really preoccupied with that. Body comparisons with others, again, I just keep saying this, it's such a big deal. It's also not just comparisons, it's competition. It's they're that size, I need to be that size. If they have a sibling that might be smaller than them, regardless if they're older or younger, I need to be that size. Making their own comparisons or other people making comparisons too. So you might hear a family member say, oh, your sister's so beautiful, you'll look like her one day. Or things like that. There are things that people say that are well-meaning that can be damaging, and we'll talk about that. Clothing size checking. So I need to be a size medium. I'm a size medium. I can't be a size large. That obsession with the clothing sizes. But back to what I said before with the clothing sizes, that's not a really good comparison because every place is different, especially if you're a woman. I wish that I was like my fiance and I could just go and walk into a store and pick up a size 34, 32 pant and walk out the door and not have to worry that pant is not going to fit me, and that's the truth for women shopping, especially if you're buying women's clothing, that happens. And it's really distressing to people who have negative body image and want to keep checking their sizes of clothes. And then another thing, and they may not talk this out loud, but being hyper aware of body movement and skin feel. So really, it's really interesting, and people are really hyper aware of their bodies and negative body image, and who have eating disorders really are hyper aware of even when they restore 1 or 2 pounds, because they're so aware of how their body and feels and moves and works that they can tell you, I've gained this much weight, or I've restored this much weight, or I'm not doing as well as I thought I was in recovery. I'm not gaining weight like I should. It's really interesting. And we question, are you weighing yourself? And family members are like, they're not. We threw away all the scales. There's no way they could have gotten to a scale. But it is just this hyper awareness in their body. A caveat to this is sometimes people don't even realize they're doing these behaviors, especially the touching the wrist, the squeezing, the neck feeling. It becomes such a normal part of their routine that they don't notice it anymore. And it just becomes a just part of them. And that's why asking questions like, hey, what's going on? I see you noticed. I see you're squeezing. And sometimes that can be an anxiety thing. People pick their skin because they're anxious or squeeze or, whatever, if they're anxious. So that can be part of that, but checking in hey, what's going on? What am I feeling here? What's going on? What are you thinking? Is helpful. So we talked about that. I would talk about those cognitive distortions, right? So a lot of the stuff internally is happening. So you might see some of these outside symptoms, like we talked about, the body checking, the clothing, the not wanting to leave, the changing of clothes, the weighing themselves. Those stuff might be happening externally. But what's happening internally is these negative thoughts, I must be thin. I'm so fat. I have to get to this weight. If I get to this weight, I will be bad. That's a big one. I can't. It's really interesting to me when people get really preoccupied with the numbers and how that happens. But if I get to 100 pounds, I'm going to be bad. I can only get to 99. I can't get to 100. This size is bad. They have in their head that this size is bad, which I think sometimes comes from media. If you watch a lot of model shows, or reality TV, or anything like that, a size 12, think about this, a size 12 is considered a plus size model. So that in the media is considered a plus size model being a size 12, when the average size of woman in America is a size 14. And you think about being a size 12 and these girls getting to a size 12, and it must be bad because people have fat phobia and waist shaming. So being called plus size for some people can see that as being feeling bad, like I can't get to that size, and then they realize that a size 12 is a plus size. So I don't want to be that size. I'm disgusting. I'm ugly. I hate my body. These are things that your kids are thinking often. And they don't say that, and they're deeply ingrained, and it comes out in these other behaviors, but it's what's going on for some of these kids in their brains. And we have to get to the root of that and really talk that through, and really get there. So some comorbidities, or that's a clinical term, but just the things that happen with negative body image, the things that can come up. So the first one we think about, yes, eating disorders, both anorexia or bulimia or a combination. A lot of times people have eating disorder, binge purge type or restrict purge type, which just, or anorexia, restrict, binge purge type, which is all of them together. And it's these cycles, which really can happen. Self-harm, harming their body because they don't like it. They can also include purging as self-harm. I've heard that. I'm purging because not to lose weight, but because my body is bad and I want it to be empty because it's bad. I'm going to harm myself through purging, but cutting, burning, those sorts of things. Depression, feeling bad, unmotivated. This can lead to binging cycles because of comfort foods and things like that to feel better, which then can attribute to even more body image concerns. Suicidal ideation, not wanting to be in the body that they're in, feeling down or bad about themselves, all of that stuff going on in their brain. It's hard to live with all of that stuff. Guilt and shame over looks and also food consumption that contribute to negative body image. And then substance use and misuse. So using substance use to cope with those negative ruminating thoughts that are going on in their brain. So eating disorders and body image. So most people diagnosed with an eating disorder often report a negative body image. I'd say about 90% of them. Maybe not right away because it's harder. People don't want to admit some of those negative thoughts that they have, except for ARFID, which is avoidant food restrictive disorder, avoidant restrictive food intake disorder, which is more about the textures of food. Which is classified as an eating disorder, but that's more of a texture issue and a sensory issue of foods, hot, cold foods, things like that, less related to body image than anorexia, bulimia, binge disorder, things like that. Sometimes individuals don't always recognize that they have poor body image. They see it as normal. I think society has normalized this too. Isn't it okay? Like, it's normal for me to think bad about myself. I've also been told by people I shouldn't think good things about myself. That's selfish, which is really sad because we all should have some sort of positive view of ourselves. They truly don't see what others see. In treatment for eating disorders, body image often is the last thing to recover. It often is the last puzzle piece for people. It can take up to 7 years on average. But caveat to that, not everyone who has a negative body image will develop an eating disorder, but it can definitely lead to one. So how to foster positive body image in your kids? Limit body comments about others, positive or negative. So remember that body comparison thing, that example I gave. Oh, your sister's so beautiful, you'll look like her one day, or you hope to look like her one day. That's could be seen as a positive statement, but also can create a negative statement, a negative comparison or competition. If you make negative comments about people's bodies, your kids will hear that and they'll make assumptions based on on their comments. Also true if you have your own issues with your own body image and you make negative comments about your body. So think about it. You have a son or a daughter, and they have been told their entire life how much they look like you. Oh, you look so much like your mom. You look so much like your dad. Oh, that's great. Great comments, right? But then they hear their mom or their dad say, man, I hate my body. I wish I could lose weight, or I'm going to skip dessert tonight because I'm getting fat, or mom needs a break from food now. I'm putting myself in a food timeout. Um, all of those things your kids pick up on and think, if I look like my mom and my mom hates her body, maybe I should hate my body too. Or I look like my dad and my dad is constantly trying to get bigger muscles, so he's eating less and working out more and constantly hating his body. Maybe I need to do that too. And while we're well meaning, and again, back to that whole, a lot of times we have negative body image, we don't realize we do. That's adults too. Um, it's not, I know that it's not intentional harm that you're doing. So really implementing those positive, neutral thoughts about your own body and about your kids' bodies, or even just leaving body compliments out altogether. Um, Implement the 80-20 rule. So the 80-20 rule is 80% healthy, 20% fun, and all food fits. I've met patients who they have never had a piece of birthday cake. And that's sad to me. Um, and it's not because of food allergies or whatever, it's because cake has been bad. It's bad food. Cake's a bad food. Cake's not a bad food. I'm here to tell you. Cake's not a bad food. Candy bars aren't a bad food. Spinach isn't a bad food unless you don't like it. But all food fits. All food fits. And creating that 80-20. It's okay to have Friday pizza night. It's okay to go out for ice cream. It's okay to have fun and be healthy, to have fun foods. Monitor social media use. Look at it, understand what your kids are looking at. The kids I see, they don't like it when I tell their parents, absolutely monitor that social media use. What are they looking at? Who are they talking to? What are they talking about? What kind of comparisons are they making? And then eliminate those body comparisons to others. Encourage that every individual is unique in their own way. That no two people look alike, and that's great. We're not robots. We all look different. We all are different, and understanding that and fostering that in our kids is very important. When shopping for clothes, focus on how something fits, not the size. Recently, I went bridesmaid shopping with my group of bridesmaids, and the bridal consultant said, don't look at the size of things. I will help you get some things that I think will fit you. Everything fits differently. Different styles are different sizes. That's just how it is. Don't look at the size, get what fits you. Avoid saying comments like you've gotten so big or other body size comments, and provide education that each store is different. You see that getting frustrated, like, I know it's frustrating, but every store is different. Also, sometimes I will have parents of kids that I serve go shopping with the kids and just pick out clothes that you think might fit them, and not or have the kids show them what clothes they might like, oh, I like that shirt, I like those pants, and bring them multiple sizes of those clothing items so that they can try them on and not be focused on, I can only wear this size. What fits. If they are focusing on those sizes, cut the tags out of clothes. Clothes are meant to fit our bodies are not meant to fit the clothes. Wear what's comfortable. Have in your closet what's comfortable for you to wear. And consider getting rid of the family scale. It doesn't need to be an obsession. We don't need to weigh ourselves every day. Consider just not having one. You can go to the doctor and get weighed if you need to, but just consider not having one. Encourage self-compassion and self-care. Model this for them as well. Do good things for yourself in front of your kids. Have self-compassion. Be okay with your own body. Be okay with those with, going to Costco in a messy bun and leggings and being just, this is who I am today, and I don't have to impress anybody, and I don't have to leave the house in a full face of makeup, or I don't have to get dressed up all the time, or um I can just, it's okay, and it's okay to make mistakes, and I'm a human living a human condition. Self-compassion really is about that too. I'm a human living a human condition. Having your own self-compassion could be a whole other training about how to help with perfectionism too. But really understanding that we have a way to just be compassionate towards ourselves and model that for our kids. If you do notice excessive body checking, cover some mirrors in your house. You don't have to do that for an entirety, but until some help is gotten, cover those mirrors, or cover them from, just have mirrors that are high enough for your face. And give each other, like, yeah, your clothes match, those sorts of things. And then gradually reintroduce them, and then give non-body specific compliments. So, you're working really hard, you're doing a great job, I love how kind you are to your siblings. We can give non-body specific compliments all day long. Provide a safe space, excuse me, to talk about body image. So be able to explore that, ask questions, allow the space to do that, ask them how they feel in their own body, look for additional signs of poor body image, like I said, and seek additional help. Um, like I said, it can be normal to people, so look for those signs. Um, and then, if they're keeping a journal, have them keep, a log of those things, and that's for therapists as well. Look for those body checking behaviors, seek help, outside help if needed, and we'll talk about when to do that. And find medical and other treatment providers that promote health at every size. So that's so that we'll talk about health at every sizes here in a second. So these are just some 10 steps. Help your child appreciate all that their body can do. Create a list of top 10 positive things about them. Um, have one for all your kids. Remind them that true beauty is not only skin deep, which is a cliche, but it's true. Help them see themselves as a whole person. They're more than just how they look. Remind them that positive people are important. Help them shut down those voices in their head and tell them their body is not right, or tell them their body's not right, or they're a bad person because of their size or weight. Have them wear clothes that are comfortable, that make them feel good about their body. Become a critical reviewer of social media messages and help them become them as well. That just means, like, looking at things differently and reviewing them. Encourage them to do something nice for themselves, or do something nice as a family. Have a self-care Saturday. We're going to take care of ourselves today. We're going to do something nice. Use the time and energy that you might have spent worrying about food, calories, and weight to do something to help others. Volunteer at a community event. So real quick about health at every size. We talked about fat phobia. Find medical providers that will listen to you about your child, and will listen to them about themselves too. That doesn't always focus on weight, shape, and size. That there is this health at every size movement that really talks about that people can be healthy no matter the size of their body or they're in, and that BMI is not the number one predictor of unhealthiness in a lot of people. So they found that people who were engaged in 2, 3, or 4 of the healthy habits, like exercise, healthy exercise, intakes of fruits and vegetables, and eating all of the food groups, emotional wellness, that's part of healthy habits, and things like that, spiritual wellness, having all of these things, that it did not change their death rates based on BMI, regardless of BMI status. So that is really the understanding what health at every size is. Find a provider that is willing to and understands that. I can't tell you how many patients we see in the eating disorder world that come in because their doctor at some point told them that they were getting a little fat and that they needed, or that their kid was getting a little fat and then they needed to go on a diet. Kids should not be on diets. They could learn about healthy eating and healthy food groups, but again, with the 80-20 rule and all food fits, but telling a kid that they should go on a diet and that they're getting fat can lead to eating disorders. I will tell you that we have anecdotally, you don't have the research, but a lot of kids end up in our program because of that reason. So body neutrality versus body positivity. A lot of times body neutrality essentially is just being okay with the body that you're in. And for a lot of people who are on the way end of the spectrum of that body dysmorphia, getting to body neutrality is the first goal. And really just being like, I'm okay with the skin that I'm in. And it can be an easier goal to get to than really getting to that goal of like, oh, yeah, I love my body. So getting to the middle of just being okay and that your body can do good things for you and understanding that. So it teaches that body confidence, that your body can do good things for you. Like things like I can walk and enjoy the day. I love my legs because I can walk. I can get on the floor and play with my siblings. My body allows me to do that. I can use my hands to pet my favorite animal. So that's what body neutrality looks like. I enjoy my body because of the things that my body allows me to do. And it might not be, I love my body because I love the way it looks, but it's, I love my body because I love the way, it helps me do things, or it allows me to do things, to hug my mom and dad, to go out with my friends, to ride my skateboard, to whatever that looks like, but really getting to that point of liking themselves in that way. So this is sort of an interactive thing, and I don't know if anybody wants to engage in this, but it is an activity to do with your kids. And I call it the 25 things activity. And I got this from a therapist who said, Sarah, if the if an apocalypse happened today and you lost your entire job, so you weren't a successful supervisor, and you lost your home and your arm was burned badly in a fire, what would be left about you? What good things are left about you? And I had to think about it. So this is an activity that I do with patients that I encourage you to do with your kids and yourself, because it's hard. It is hard. It is 25 things that are good about you that are not body or achievement related. So what does that look like? So an achievement is, I have a master's degree. A character trait about me is that I am motivated to get things done. I'm a hard worker. That's not going to change if I lose my job or not. I'm still a hard worker. If I suddenly, couldn't work and couldn't use my master's degree on the wall wouldn't mean anything. But the fact that I'm a hard worker does. So that's kind of the difference. Being a straight A student is an achievement, but being motivated and being driven is a personality trait. Saying I can lift 100 pounds at the gym is an achievement. Saying I am strong, because strength isn't just body strength, it's emotional strength. So I get things done. I'm funny. I'm a good sibling. So I really encourage you to do this activity. Does anybody have any other examples that might fit for this? I'll give you a minute or two to type them in. Okay. So I encourage you to think about it, to think about what this might mean for you and for your family, and really getting to the root of what is good about you and doing this and doing it as a family. I encourage you to do it as a family. Now, when I give this to people, I have the individual write 12, and then their family fills in the other 13. So it's hard, and I encourage you guys to do this too, with your partners or significant others or best friends or whatever. Like, hey, what are some good things about me? I sent a text to my friends and asked them that. And they'll give you things that you never thought of before, that you never really got to. So, yeah, we care for and love a family pet. Yes, that's great. You're a good caretaker. Those are great. Yes. So other people will come up with some good ones too. So do this with your family. Put it up on the wall. You know, if you have multiple people in your family, multiple kids, take some sheets of paper, write their names on them, put them on the wall, and be like, we're doing an activity today. And they might roll their eyes at you, but put some things on there too, and they might start or leave them up there. Um, and, you know, have people do drive-by compliments, like walk-by compliments, like write something on there and leave them up there and see what you get. Because everyone needs some positivity in your life too. And put one up for yourself, and you'll see your kids might write some good things about you. So, when to seek higher levels of care, meaning when do you need more than just the 25 things activity, or you might need PHP and IOP level of care, inpatient level of care, um, when they're restricting their intake daily, they're purging their food, they're doing fluid restriction, um, all of this stuff, excessive or over exercise, safety concerns, if you're hearing or seeing any of those things too. And in summary, body image encompasses everything about how we see ourselves in the mirror, how other people, how we perceive other people that see us. Negative body image can come from multiple sources. It can lead to many other concerns, and treatment of negative body image may take a long time. So, does anybody have any questions for me? I will open the questions up now. Christine, did you get any questions? I didn't see any come through.
I did have one person ask how to deal with family when a teen boy shaves arms, legs, and who has very poor body image, like how to deal with that with the family.
When a teen boy has like shaved their arms and legs and has poor body image?
Correct.
Is that okay? So without full context of that, so that could be coming from a couple different places. So that might be some gender dysphoria stuff going on, and some stuff about not feeling good in their body because of their sex assigned at birth, which is a whole other thing that we could go that takes a while to go into. So I would just like ask some questions, like gently, like how are you feeling in your body? What are you feeling right now? Can you, let me know, what's happening for you? What's, I've noticed, like, just like, I've noticed you're shaving your legs or your arms. Can you let me know what that's about? Like, what's going on? Because that might actually be that they, don't feel like they're sex assigned at birth. And so then that's a whole other conversation to have, and gender acceptance, and probably a lot longer than I have to answer that question. But I would just start the conversation.
Okay, another question was, are there activities for preteens to keep the train of positive encouragement? It's not supposed to focus on commenting, things like that.
Yeah, so just continue to encourage that, all bodies are different, like there are things about you that are good about you that aren't body related, really just continuing that mode of we're going to take care of our bodies, but we're also not going to focus so much on what they look like. So just continuing to have that conversation, but modeling that behavior in yourself as well. Anything else, Christine?
Not at this moment.
Okay.
Somebody's trying to type one in.
Okay.
Another person just asked, is there other ways to identify the 80-20, to help ID the 80-20?
Yeah, so
for kids, sorry, she then added that.
80-20 for kids. So yeah, like one thing that our dietitians, and this is our dietitians rule too, that they put in place, like they'll say like, have your evening snack be a scoop of ice cream. Give some normalize it being okay to have a cookie at lunchtime. Um, but also including other things like um, all the food groups, lipids, grains, lipids are fats, we say lipids at our program, proteins, dairy, fruit, and really incorporating all of that and a fun food. So, fun foods are going to be things like cookies, cakes, ice cream, candy, those sorts of things.
Another person is asking, do you have any suggestions for getting family and friends not to comment on my child's size or how she eats, how much she eats?
Yeah. Yes. So with the holidays coming up, that's going to happen a lot too. So I I encourage parents just to say, and really just to say, we are not making body comments. We are not making comments about food. In this right now, today, we're not doing that. This is not what we're doing. We're promoting um, body positivity. This is who my child is right now, and we're not just setting the boundary. I really just encourage just saying it. We're not commenting on this. And if they ask you why, or they try to say, well, I'm concerned about them, you can say, we've got it under control. Like we're working, like we've got it under control. And you can leave it at that. No is a complete sentence.
Another person is asking, is there an appropriate way to address overeating in kids? Like at dinner, if they ask for thirds, but you know that it would be too much, how do you explain to them that they can't just eat everything?
So I would approach it from a different perspective in terms of not eating everything, in terms of what is your body feeling right now? So, a lot of times with kids who are overeating, sometimes it's a feeling of, sometimes for kids it's anxiety, it's wanting to eat more to fill a void. Sometimes it's they've eaten too fast so they don't feel full yet. So sometimes I'll encourage parents to say, okay, you may want that right now. Do we want to wait 20 minutes, 30 minutes and see how you feel? And if you still feel hungry, maybe you can have an apple or have, something else that fits in that like more healthy category, not fun category, but just, let's wait 20 minutes. Let's see what our body feels. Or just talking about like, how does your body feel right now? How does your stomach feel right now? Most people are really unaware of how their body feels sometimes, especially kids, when it comes to feeling full. So really just getting more aware of the body and asking those questions, like, what are you feeling right now? And then like taking a stop back and being like, let's wait 20, 30 minutes and see if you're still hungry. Anything else,
Okay, there's
Christine?
another one.
Okay.
How to identify eating disorders with teenagers?
Okay. Well, so first you're gonna notice, so you're not, the biggest thing is people will say, I didn't notice them losing weight. You're not gonna notice that first. Um, you're actually, because of that whole baggy clothes thing, you're probably gonna notice that last. Because oftentimes in teenagers, you're not seeing your kids without their clothes on most often. So you're gonna notice them hiding food or pushing food around on their plate is very the thing. One of the biggest things we see is, oh, I'm not going to eat dinner with you guys. I'm going out with my friends. I'm going to eat dinner with them. And then they don't. Sometimes they'll hoard lunch money or they'll throw away their school lunch. It becomes very sneaky a little bit, but what you notice is they're not eating with the family as much. They're not eating the food with the family. Then you'll also see them making comments about food. I can't eat that. I'm not going to eat that. Or all of a sudden, they don't like foods that they liked before. And this is a thing, like a lot of people with eating disorders will convince themselves that they don't like foods. And it's mostly fun foods and foods they deem as dangerous and fearful. So I think really understanding that knowing fearful foods and if they liked cake when they were like 10 and now all of a sudden they're 13 and they're telling you they don't like cake anymore, I'd be like, okay. Like I say that to patients too, like, so yes, taste buds change, but if they drastically change, so really looking at those sorts of things too.
So it looks like we do not have any more questions, but if you
Okay.
do have additional questions after the fact, like you think of something after tonight's presentation, feel free to email Linden Oaks Marketing at eehealth.org. Again, that's Linden Oaks Marketing at eehealth.org. So right now, I'm going to go ahead and open up our polling section. Please do what you can to fill that out. We do read all your feedback. We would like any recommendations for future presentations. So please get that in there. Again, thank you for attending tonight's presentation. There's a few of you that I think I need to answer some private questions on, so please stay on so I can get those answered for you. In the meantime, you guys all have a good evening. And again, thank you, Sarah.